Hello everyone. I am going to show you how to answer a week 2 discussion question. Um, in the discussion question, it asks you to read and interpret parts A through D for that particular problem. I am not interested in those answers for A through D. Those answers are already given to you in the back of your textbook. Okay, so I'm going to give you those answers because those are not the answers that I want. Okay, so the first question asks, what's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. And in this particular problem, it crosses the y-axis at 254. So if you look at the graph, you'll see the y-axis and where that line crosses. The slope is calculated using the 2 points that were given to you. So if you plug those points back into the slope formula, you'll calculate a slope of negative 2.4. Now, since you have the slope and the y-intercept, you can go ahead and form your equation. Your equation is f of x is equal to negative 2.4x plus 254. Okay, so that's letter A, B, C. The last part asks you to predict the mortality rate of children under 5 in a country where 50% of adult females are literate. Okay, so all you have to do is plug the 50% back in for x into your equation, and you'll come up with an answer of 134. So this means 134 children per thousand would die in a country where 50% of the adult females are literate. So the line that you see in this graph here is what you call the best fit line. This line is the line that passes through the majority of your points. Okay? So they gave you the 2 points, you can calculate the equation, and you can use that as your predictor equation. Alright, so like I said, I'm not interested in parts A through D. This is the question that you should answer, which is on the discussion board. And a lot of students get this mixed up because they think they can just answer parts A and D and be done. This is what I want you to answer. How does placement of the line across the points affect the equation that would be written? Precise calculations for the equation can be made with various instruments, but when choosing 2 points on your own to write prediction equations, approximate answers are acceptable. So basically what I want you to do is I want you to look at the graph, and then I want you to pick 2 points off that graph. With those 2 points, I want you to go ahead and come up with an equation. So I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to come up with the equation. So I went ahead and I picked 2 points, and I have these arrows by these points. Okay, so the first point I have, see if I can write this on here, is 15 and 300. So if you go back, if you look in your book, and I'm sorry, I have a hard time writing on this thing. See, it won't let me write. Okay, hold on, let me do it like this. There we go. I'll put my little comment here. I'm trying to write 15, but it's not letting me write. Alright, so that arrow that's pointing to that little point there, that ordered pair is 15, 300. Okay, so you can do that. You can figure out the x and y. If you go straight down, you'll be somewhere in the middle between 10 and 20. And if you go straight across, you'll hit to 300. The other point I have is pointing at this little point, and that ordered pair is 30, 200. Okay, so all I'm doing is approximate. So I'm going to call this point 30, 200. Okay, let's try it this way. Oh, there we go. I had my pen upside down. That's why it wasn't working. All right, there we go. So I'm going to use these 2 points to figure out the equation of a line. All right. So this is the equation for the slope. I'm going to put my order pairs back up here again. 15,200 and 15,300, sorry, and 3,200. Okay, I'm going to use these 2 points to figure out the slope. I'm going to let this one be x1, y1, and I'm going to let this one be x2, y2. Okay, so if I go ahead and plug these numbers back into the slope, I'll get 200 minus 300 all over 30 minus 15. So I come up with negative 100 all over 15. And when I divide this out, I get a slope of negative 6.67. Okay, so that's my slope. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the slope and one of the points, it doesn't matter which point, I'm going to plug it back into the point slope form and I'm going to calculate my equation. Okay, so let's say I picked the point 3,200. Put that up here, 3,200. This is going to be my x1. This is going to be my y1. We already said the slope was negative 6.67. So I'm going to plug this information back into this point slope form and I'm going to solve for y. So this is going to be y minus 200 is equal to negative 6.67 times x minus 30. Let's go ahead and calculate everything out. I'm going to multiply this over here on the right. I got negative 6.67x. And when I multiply negative 6.67 with negative 30, I get a positive 200. Now my goal is to get y by itself. So I'm going to add 200 to both sides. And I get an equation of y is equal to negative 6.67 x plus 400. So using the 2 points that I found on the graph, this is the equation that I've come up with. All right. So the next step that I want you to do is I want you to use your equation that you calculated and I want you to revisit part D. Predict the mortality rate of children under 5 in a country where 50% of the adult females are literate. So if I plug 50 back in for x into my equation, I come up with 66.5. What does this mean? This means 66.5 children per thousand would die in a country where 50% of the adult females are literate. Now, if we compare that to the line of best fit, the line that was calculated for you in the book, the answers that I gave you, we came up with 134 per thousand. So if I compare my answer to what the book gave me, there's an underestimate. So my equation is not accurate because it's underestimating what it should really be. So from there, you can answer the question, how does placement of the line across the points affect the equation that would be written? Okay. Now you may not have an underestimation, you may have an overestimation. It all depends on the points that you pick. Okay. And actually, if you go back to the graph, let's go back to the graph. Oops. And if you look at the 2 points that I picked, let me draw a line through these. Oops. Let's see if I can draw a line through this. So this is my line from the points that I picked. As you can see, my line is not going through the majority of the points. It's only going through a few of the points. So it's not a line of best fit. Okay, so that's the whole point of this discussion. All right, so like I said, I'm not interested in the answers to A through D that's given to you in the back of your book. If you write just those answers, I'm not going to give you credit because that's not the answer I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to answer the question that is stated in the discussion board post. So I want you to pick 2 points off the graph. I want you to find the equation. I want you to go ahead and predict for 50% of women who are literate. Just plug 50% back into your equation and come up with a number and tell me whether or not you overestimated or underestimated. And then explain to me how does the placement of the line affect the equation. Okay? Hope this helps.